Oh, hello there. Welcome to my hobby room. I am Marcel Claxton, and I am the host of Story Tiles. And this is a very special episode of a specific story tile that I want to share with you in the playlist on my channel, and that is the DM Masterclass. Now, DM would in this case not stand for Dungeon Master, as you may presume, but more design musings. I am a game designer as well as a graphic designer and UX designer in real life, and I have many ideas about what constitutes good game design. And I want to examine those with you. I want to create kind of an ongoing discussion of what makes a good game experience, and that's what this series is about. There are a lot of channels out there that already cover board games in various facets. Game reviews, you have top 10s, you have playthroughs, paint-throughs, crowdfunding, examination sites. Story Tiles is not going to be one of those channels, although kind of. I want to look past the game's mechanics, theme, components, gameplay, and examine the true experience that board games create, the stories that they tell, the imagination that it evokes in players, and how it creates this temporary world that is yours to seek refuge in. Now, one of the things that the DM Masterclass is going to touch upon is looks at these experiential games through a story lens. What does that mean? Well, stories are used to communicate ideas and to evoke emotions, to relate to other people. They also instill a sense of autonomy with you as the reader or the listener. And with that, there's a little bit of mastery of understanding how this world that the author is relating to you or the oral storyteller is relating to you, and the connections that you make with that world, the things that you find from yourself inside that world. Now, there are games that do that as well, maybe not to the degree of books and movies, but they do it to a certain degree, and I find that endlessly fascinating. So when I do a review of a board game, it will be through that lens of the typical pillars that stories have: characters, plot, events, and locations, for instance. I call that the cell mechanism, CEL, characters, events, and locations. I will also have top lists, as you may have already seen on the channel, but they will be primarily about the experiences or impressions that board games give you, not so much the technical, mechanical side of it, nor the innovativeness of the theme itself. Now, I will also look at what it is to be hobbying within the board game space. That when you get a board game, you are anticipating opening it, unboxing it, to take out all the components, the satisfaction of feeling the components and looking through them, all the new glossy cards, and generally the pre-game to the game itself. Then, of course, you learn the rules and you set the game up, which is sometimes the bane for many people. But I will also be examining that aspect of board gaming. Playing the game, of course, is the main purpose of the game itself. But what if the game is not exactly up to your expectations or your standards or how you want to relate to that board game? Then maybe you'll homebrew some rules, or you will add some components from other games, or maybe even craft some items for in your games. I also want to look at these aspects because they're very much big part of what I do myself. Not just painting miniatures, for instance, but also basically just crafting things. So my paint throughs are going to be more like crafting throughs, if that's a word. Then finally, I also want to look at the underlying principles of game design, and that's what this masterclass is truly going to be about. I have one of many, many design books that I've been keeping throughout the years. I've been listening to podcasts like Ludology podcast. I've been listening to game examinations on YouTube and the design principles behind it. And I find this endlessly fascinating because it makes us not just better designers, but also it makes us better gamers, because it teaches us how we look at games as we're playing through them, as we're experiencing what the designer intended for us to experience, adding our own emotions, our own thoughts, our own philosophies and methodologies to it. So I hope you'll join me on this trip, and I look forward to seeing you at the next DM Masterclass.